I'm starting to cut out the pattern perfectly good table in the library. I don't have to move anything to start cutting. Now, one of the hacks that I have done for this pants pattern is I have cut 2 backs to accommodate my fupa. All right, so instead of a front and a back piece, so that I've cut that first. All right, okay, so this is the top section, the middle section, and the bottom section. And I'm gonna, okay, so I've cut the top. And I use the selvage edge so that I'll just have to turn it under for the elastic. And I've cut the middle, or is this the end? This is the lower section. And I did the same thing with the bottom. I cut it on the self. Sorry, that was my 10 o'clock alarm. Tell me it's time to get on about the business of the day. And here is the middle. Now, the only modifications I'm going to make is to include a pocket. And luckily for me, when I cut out the crotch area, I was left with this curve. And I'm going to use that to make the inside pocket so that these pants that don't have pockets will have pockets. Now, I am wrapped with quite a bit of beautiful red linen. I feel a shirt or an Ogden coming along. I don't know, shirt, Ogden, shirt, Ogden. It's a dilemma. So now all of the pieces have been cut out, and I've made a few adjustments already to the pattern because this is something I've made over and over again. It's my favorite pair of pants to wear. So I've seen all the little glitches in it. Not really glitches, it's just things that are more to my advantage. So I have found that because I have a little bit of a tummy, I use 2 back pieces to give me a little bit more leeway. If I don't, I tend to get a little bit of a smile, as you can see in this pair of pants over here. And but without, I get this. If I use 2 back center pieces, crotch area pieces, it gives me enough room for it to flow below my little pooch. So instead of cutting 2 back pieces, I've cut 4. Now these really are a very simple pair of pants. It is a center panel, and then it is covered by, let's see if I can get close here. It's a center panel, and then it is 3 tiers on the outside. And they're not they're not extremely large. You would think they might be because it's such a lush looking pair of pants. Now I will be using French seams on these pants because I like all the raw edges covered up. And here we go. Oh wait, I forgot. My favorite and best hack in these pants is the hidden pocket in the seams of the pant, because I need somewhere to put my phone, and even though these are my favorite pair of pants, there's no side seam with which to hide a pocket in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to join the front and the back at the crotch. I'm going to do a French seam, so I'm going to sew a very thin seam along the edge, and then I'm going to trim and turn inside out and sew it again. Because there's not really a sidedness to the pants, I don't have to pay particular attention to which sides I'm sewing together. Now on my presser foot, if I can get my fabric to go through just right here, it gives me the perfect seam for a French seam. I won't have to do much trimming. But if the fabric is kind of shifting or difficult to deal with, I will bring the fabric all the way out here. So as you can see on this, see how thin it is because I lined it up with this little part right here. It just saves a step, but if you are not comfortable, then you figure out whatever length, how far you need. This just eliminates me having to trim because you see how tiny this seam is. Okay, so normally I would trim, but because it's so thin, I won't have to. I'm gonna turn it inside out. I'm going to press this seam because pressing is so important. And then I'm going to stitch one more time, and this time about 1/4 of an inch. And it will enclose those little threads, especially with linen, since linen loves to ravel. So now we've completed the center of the pants. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the side, and that's where my most important hack is going to be. There are 3 levels of the pants on the side, and we're going to insert on the second level a pocket so that you can have some place to put your cell phone. So I fashioned some pockets based on the size of my cell phone that I'm going to use inside these pants because most likely that's what I'm going to be. They do not have to be curved. You can make them just squared. It's up to you. So now here's the upper section. This is your waistband up here. And here is the second tier or the middle section. So you're going to need to gather along this edge here and have it fit on the bottom of this top section. Okay, so I just inserted this invisible zipper in this seam line between the top of the skirt and the bottom. This is the trickiest part of this whole pair of pants. They're not difficult pants, but this hidden zipper might give you some pause. So let me walk you through it so slowly so you do not get lost. You're going to need a 1/4 inch wide double fold bias tape, double fold. Okay, looks like this. It's a double fold. That means when you open up the bias tape, there are 2 interior folds. Okay, you're going to need one of those. So the first thing you're going to do is open it up. All right. Okay, so I cut a length of the bias tape. That was the actual length of my upper body, the upper part tier of the pair of pants. Okay, and so I'm going to open it up and I'm going to iron one of these folds open. Okay, let's see if I can open this up with my big hands. Alrighty. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is iron this open, not all the way. I still want my folds. All right, there we go. Great. All right, and then I'm going to open one side up. Just one side. Now I used 1/4 bias tape. You don't have to use 1/4. You could use the half, whatever you feel comfortable with. This bias tape is just to reinforce the side of the pants that are gathered, the seam that's gathered, that's attached to this top tier. So, for instance, this is the top of the pants, right? This is the bottom of the pants. It's a smooth line. So when we start to insert our zipper, it's pretty straightforward. It's not too bad. But the other piece that we're going to attach at the bottom is going to be gathered. So we're going to need something to reinforce the zipper that we're going to place on top of those gathers. Now, if you feel that you're competent enough to add the zipper directly to the gathers, I wouldn't recommend it. Just go ahead and we are going to attach the very, maybe just this edge of the pressure foot of this bias tape to a gathered length. So let me gather, put it in place so you can see. Now I'm going to attach my bias tape to the front side with two front sides together to the very edge of this gathered seam. And we're just doing this because we're going to add a hidden zipper, which when they put this pattern together, they did not include a zipper. We're the ones trying to hack a pocket onto these pants, because who makes pants without pockets? All right, so I'm going to pin this in place. And then actually I can use the line at the very top of the bias binding as a guide to where I'm going to stitch. I'm just trying to give the my zipper and this seam a little bit more reinforcement, because I'm going to add an invisible zipper to the top of this seam so that I can have some pockets on these tiered pants. Now, the whole purpose of that was to give you something flat and stable with which to put your invisible zipper upon as soon as I find it. So now I placed my hidden zipper 4 inches away from this inner seam. So now remember, I'm going to do the same thing in the opposite direction, so that this is going to be one side of the pant and this is going to be the other side. I don't want to make a mistake and put it 4 inches, the zipper over here, because then that's going to be at the back of the pants. So I'm going to go over here, go over 4 inches, and this is where I'm going to place the end of my neck of my invisible zipper. So I want the zipper pull to be lined up with this pin right here. All right, so this is where I want it to attach so that it opens in this direction. The purpose of this bias tape was to provide a good base for it to sit upon. So I'm going to open my zipper a few inches, line up, maybe make it go a little bit over where the invisible zipper attaches, because the zipper is quite a bit longer than the opening for the zipper. So on an invisible zipper, this little track here that you roll over is where you're going to stitch in, and that's going to give you that invisible work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pin this in place, making sure the track goes over this little seam line here, so that when it rolls, I get the support of the bias tape, but I don't see this red bias tape. So take your time, and if you're replicating these pants, take your time and pin your zipper in place, and you're going to stitch in that line. Now it's the time to attach the hidden zipper to the top part of the pant. Remember, this is the top part. We're gonna have the elastic waistband here, and we're gonna come over the same 4 inches, and we're going to attach the invisible zipper on the other side of the pant. All right, so that when it's zipped, you're not going to see the pocket opening. All right, so now we're going to attach the top of the tiered pant side to the bottom. And so there's the zipper there, and there's the end there. So we're going to sew those seams in place. Now it's time to add a pocket bag. Now I've cut out a pocket bag that can accommodate my phone, and maybe a credit card and a little bit of money, and not too weighty. And so I am going to attach my pocket bag between here where the zipper starts and where my pocket bag ends. I'm going to be attaching it to the zipper ribbon right here. So now you've attached both sides of the pocket bag. You're going to complete the pocket by stitching around the edges to make your pocket. Now for me personally, since this is red linen and prone to fraying, I'm going to use the rest of my red bias tape to cover these edges, especially the bottom, to secure the bottom of the pocket so it doesn't, the weight of my phone doesn't cause it to open. So I'm going to just add, and also, what am I going to do with the rest of this bias tape package anyway? All right, that's a nicer finish, don't you think? Now, one last thing, and then we're done with the pocket. I'm going to put a little tack right here, a little zigzag tack right here, because remember, in order to support the zipper, we attach the zipper all the way down this seam. So this is where the pocket stops. So I don't want my zipper to pass this point when I'm unzipping it and get over here. All right, so I'm going to put a little stitch, a little zigzag stitch right here to stop the zipper where the pocket ends. Now, believe it or not, that is the most difficult part of the pants because I added this pocket hack. But remember, these pants are so good, I had to sew them again. Now it's time to gather the last tier of these pants and attach them to the bottom. Now there's also the option, if you like these pants, to make the capri, which I'll show myself wearing them here. They're fun and they're flirty, and I love them too, but I wanted the red linen pants to be full-length pants. Okay, that's barely noticeable, but it will stop the zipper in its tracks. All right, and my phone can slip inside. Okay, so now I have sewn the third tier on these pants. So the side panels are complete. Luckily for me, the way I cut this pattern out is that these edges were actually selvage edges. So I'm not going to have to French seam them. They are already finished by the manufacturer. So that doesn't always work out, especially if you're using a pattern. But this linen, you could use it in both directions. Okay, so that is the final tier, all 3 tiers. This is the side, top tier with the zipper in it, and the bottom tier, all in place and ready to be attached to the center panel. Okay, so I have French seamed the sides of the pants, adding the tiers, the 3 tiers, onto the front and the back, which show themselves on the other side. So now we're at the stage where the pants are almost made. All we're going to do is we're going to create the casing at the top. I've decided to hack my pants and do a double layered elastic casing. But I also think I might like if this was flat and the elastic was around the back. I've never tried that. Might try it on these. Now, if I decided to do the front flat, right here flat, I would need to interface this casing. But I am intrigued by that. I wonder if they would fall better if I elasticize the whole back, the sides and the back, and then just make it flat right here. I think I'm gonna try it. So first things first in this little hacking journey is I'm going to commandeer some sew-on interfacing from my scrap pile and attach it to the inside of this casing from here to here. I somehow think this will really work on my body shape. We shall see. Okay, I'm gonna iron this on and then start to stitch the casing. Remember, I'm doing a double casing instead of a single casing on these pants. Okay, so I have secured the ends of the elastic on the outside with a double stitch, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to stitch across. I'm going to stitch across this waistband right here, from here to here. I can follow along the selvage right here. All right, guys, so I did a little stitch in the ditch on the center seam, and I stitched across the front. This is my first time trying it out, where it's flat here and that the gathering goes around the side and the back. I'm really excited to see how this is going to fit. So in the meantime, I added, because these pants are rather long and I'm not, I added a substantial hem at the bottom. So I'm going to press this out, try it on, and we'll see if this hack is a go.